So you want to try healer or tank, but you're worried about this happening. Or this. Well, let me tell you, you've come to the right place. For as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to play a tank in MMOs. When I was in my early teens, I decided to try out tanking during the Wrath of the Lich King expansion in World of Warcraft. To say the least, I was bad at it. Regardless, I still wanted to give it a shot, and I queued for a dungeon as a tank. At first I was doing alright, however, as we got deeper and deeper into the dungeon, I had more trouble holding aggro, mobs started hitting my teammates, and it really was not going well. To make matters worse, my teammates actually started getting mad at me, and they were flaming the crap out of me. I was so traumatized by the situation, I literally quit the dungeon and just changed into a DPS class and never played tank ever since. Like seriously, every MMO I've played, I've always played a DPS just because I didn't want the responsibility of being a tank. Now in Final Fantasy, I had picked Dragoon, and Dragoon's a really cool class. I love how mobile and quick it is. However, when I laid my eyes on Dark Knight, I could not resist. Only problem is, Dark Knight's a tank class, and I was like, oh no, what am I gonna do? As you can imagine, I was having super anxiety issues because I wanted to play this class, but it was a tank, and I was so traumatized from my past experience that I almost didn't give it a try. I just decided, F it, I'm gonna play the class. I like what it looks like, it looks cool, let me just go for it. If I'm bad, I'm bad, I'll get better. And I eventually got over that anxiety. The main point of the story today is just to tell you guys how I got over tanking anxiety, because I know for a lot of you, there's classes you guys want to play that look cool, you love the aesthetic, you love the vibe of the class, the only problem is they're a healer or a tank and they have that extra responsibility. So I kind of want to inspire you guys to play those classes you guys have always wanted to play. Keep in mind, I'm not exactly the greatest tank yet. I've done a bunch of dungeons, raids, and trials, but nothing in hard or extreme or anything like that. I'm still learning and I want to be a better tank, but I just want to lead everyone to the steps so that they can also follow the same path. The first and most important thing I did was facing my fears. I like to call this a little bit of exposure therapy. For me, and I'm pretty sure most people out there, you're afraid to mess up, you're afraid to make mistakes. And when you're in a higher responsibility role, the stakes can be even higher. But I started getting into the mindset that mistakes are important to learn. You can't get through something without making mistakes. Without those mistakes, you would never learn and you would never improve. So whenever I wipe the group, whether it's because I didn't mitigate the tank buster, or I didn't hold aggro correctly, or I just made some kind of mistake, I told myself that's a mistake I can learn from, and I can improve from this and take something away. And yes, at times, it can be frustrating, especially when you're just starting, you're gonna make a lot of mistakes. But it's just important to have that mindset and be a little less harsh to yourself. I promise you, if you start thinking this way and you start learning from your mistakes and understanding it's okay to make mistakes, then I promise you, you're gonna be on your way to becoming a great healer or tank. Okay, so now that we've handled ourselves, we can now deal with the world outside of us. The second thing I did when I just started tanking was I let my group know at the beginning of the dungeon, raid, or trial. I was like, hey, I'm new to tanking, or this is my first time doing this dungeon, so if you see me doing anything and you want to give me some tips, please let me know. I only say this because yes, it's important to practice and put a lot of time into learning something, but it's also important to get an outside perspective. And the best person to get an outside perspective from is someone who sees you doing the mistakes. And if you're in a dungeon or trial with someone and they see you mess up and you ask for advice, they'll be able to help you right away. So I think this is like a really important reason. And number two, it also just kind of gives you some leniency because people understand that, oh, they're a new tank, they're trying to learn, this isn't their main role. So they'll be more lenient with you. Also, if there's a specific mechanic that you have to do on a boss, they'll let you know before the fight, which is really important. For say, if there's like a tank buster or something like that, you know and you're prepared for it. In general, it just kind of sets you up for success. I think me personally, I did this for the first like 30 dungeons and trials I ran. I was just like, hey, I'm a new tank. I've never done this before. And at the same time, I was going through Shadowbringer, so I had never experienced the content either. So I was like, I'm a new tank. I haven't experienced this dungeon before. Please be lenient with me, kind of thing. And slowly but surely, I started to learn. Of course, it was kind of rough because number one, I was learning a new role and I was trying to adjust to the new dungeons. But after a while, I started to get the hang of it. I remember the first dungeon I did in Shadowbringers as a tank, I didn't know how to mitigate damage with the Blackest Night, which is like your most important ability as a Dark Knight because it mitigates so much damage, and I was just getting shredded over and over again. I didn't know why, but because I told the group that I was new, they were like, have you tried using TBN, which stands for the Blackest Night? And that actually helped out a lot because it helped me get through the packs. I was dying to the packs. So yeah, long story short, just make sure you let them know that you're trying a new role. This helps a lot, and honestly, it made me feel a lot safer when I was trying to learn how to tank. The last thing I would suggest that really helped me was learning more about your role and your job. For me, this is honestly the most fun part because I love doing research about roles and jobs and stuff like that. But my issue is that sometimes I get stuck in there and I never actually do anything with the research I've learned. This is why I put this suggestion last, because for me, I needed to actually play the job, learn the role a little bit, and then do the research, because then I've actually taken the steps to kind of get over the anxiety. This helps a lot because there's a lot of people in the Final Fantasy community that really understand their role and job and are able to help beginners understand exactly what they need to be doing, their positioning, what rotations they need to be using, all kinds of stuff, even like gearing, like what kind of materia you need to use. It's so helpful. But I think the important thing to understand is even if you learn, even if you do this research, people learn by doing. So you need to be able to put this into action. So you need to keep doing dungeons, you need to keep doing trials, you need to keep practicing what you're learning. But overall, I would say the research is still an important part because it teaches you little things that you wouldn't have known that might make a big difference. But yeah, those are the big 3 things I did to help me get over my tank anxiety. I really hope this helps you get over any anxiety you have of playing a role in Final Fantasy. Because I know for me, I really wanted to play Dark Knight and I was scared because I didn't know if I was going to be able to handle tank. But you shouldn't let that fear stop you from playing a class that you think you might really enjoy. And that's really the reason I wanted to make this video. I'm still learning, like I said. I'm not exactly the guru of tanks or anything like that. I'm still not even tanking any real raids yet. But I'm working towards it. I'll get there eventually. Thanks for watching this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. Subscribe if you want to see more content from me. I'm really excited. I have a bunch of ideas for Final Fantasy that I'm going to be putting out. Let me know, guys, what you thought. This was a little bit different from my last video. I'm just trying to see what kind of content I enjoy making. Until next time.